Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here with a brand new thoughts video for all of you guys, and yeah, looks like I've been building this up for quite some time now, especially with, of course, the last one I did on, of course, Army of the Dead on Netflix, and yeah, trust me when I say, I've been wanting to build this up for some time, and first of all, before I can actually begin, let me say this right now. Happy Memorial Day, everybody! Yeah. I guess if you couldn't recall, based on the date right about now, it is officially the last day of May right about now, and of course, this Monday as we speak is officially Memorial Day right about now, and I couldn't help but feel absolutely thrilled to actually do that, just celebrate the entire day where of course we of course pay tribute and of course salute to the mighty soldiers and of course the wonderful veterans that actually help support this country for sure. So yeah. Mad respect to all of you soldiers and veterans of the entire United States as always. So yeah, but I'm not going to be pretty much talking about everything about Memorial Day, though even if I did, I would have had the American flag right behind me right about now, but I don't have the American flag right about now, so that sucks. So yeah, I guess I kind of figure instead, I would of course do what I normally do on, of course, these thoughts videos, which is of course talk about the latest movie I've actually seen, and yes, I have been building this up for quite some time now, especially of course, the last one I did on, of course, my thoughts on, of course, Army of the Dead, So yeah, I guess right about now, it is of course time for me to talk about the latest movie that just hit theaters right around this weekend right about now, and I couldn't help but feel absolutely thrilled to actually talk about this movie for sure, but we're not just going to be talking about one movie. Oh, no. We're actually going to be talking about two movies all on the exact same day. So yeah, two for the price of one right about now. So yeah, that's actually quite amazing. And yeah, I guess I might as well go ahead and get this out of the way for sure. Is that I guess we're of course one of the two movies I'm going to be talking about. I of course went back to of course a certain movie theater that I do kind of miss a whole lot, similar to, of course, when I went down to Binghamton, but yeah, I guess for of course this thoughts video right about now, I might as well go ahead and get this out of the way. Pretty much, if you recall back on, of course, my thoughts video I did on, of course, Demon Slayer Mugen Train, I went back to, of course, a Regal Cinemas that is, of course, down in Binghamton, where I would frequently go to actually see a movie for sure. Well, I guess for this case right about now, there is actually one Regal Cinemas that I've officially returned to after quite a long time now, which is of course the one down in Ithaca. So yeah, I haven't been down to that movie theater practically, I think, since February of 2020 when I saw Sonic the Hedgehog. So yeah, I do think it's actually really good to actually come back there, and yeah, that part when I actually said that I saw two movies, yeah, I think not necessarily so, but that I'm going to be talking about two movies for the price of one. Yeah, I actually did go down there for, of course, a really nice double feature all in one day. So yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense on, of course, what I'm going to be going for. Alright. So, of course, yeah, I guess I've decided to, of course, hit up the Regal Cinemas down in Ithaca after quite a long time now, for sure, to actually go for a nice double feature for sure, and I think it does feel great. So I guess for today's thoughts video right about now, we're of course going to be talking about one of the two movies that I actually did have the privilege to go see, and don't worry about a thing, I will definitely get right on to, of course, talking about the other one sometime later, but I guess for this one, I think I might as well talk about this movie that I'm going to be talking about. So with that being said, I guess for today's thoughts video right about now, we're of course going to, yeah, pretty much the first of the two that I'm actually going to be talking about. We're of course going to be returning to a certain subject matter that I've frequently actually done, of course, these thoughts videos for some time, which is of course the one thing and one thing only. And I'll give you a hint on this one. They are done by Disney. They make tons of money when they officially come out. And despite some pretty positive reviews from critics, it did gain mixed reception from, of course, audiences saying that they either love them and saying that they're really good updates, or they just downright hate them and actually say that the animated films are much better. So yeah, based on those hints right about now, we're of course going to be returning to, of course, the certain subject matter that I usually frequently talk about, or almost all the time talk about in terms of these thoughts videos, which is of course the Disney live-action remake. So yeah, I guess if you actually know me hands down, I do have a pretty much a strong love-and-hate relationship with the Disney live-action remakes. Like, of course, for the love part, I think there are some of these remakes I actually thought are really amazing to somewhat pretty good. While, of course, for most of the hate part, it's mainly on the films that I have mixed receptions on to the ones that I think are just plain bad. So yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit that hands down. I mean, like I said, there are some live-action Disney remakes that I thought are actually pretty good. But yeah, most of the ones that I've actually seen, I do have mixed reception. Yeah, I do have mixed feelings on, or I will of course say that they're just plain awful, but I know hands down that the original animated films are definitely much better. I'm not ashamed to admit that hands down. In fact, even I'll admit, as some of the live-action Disney remakes I do think are good, they couldn't top the original animated films hands down. So yeah, and I guess for today's thoughts video right about now, this certain little category actually falls into, of course, what I'm going to be talking about. So yeah, pretty much based on what I'm going to be talking about, I'm of course going to be talking about the latest Disney live-action remake that officially came out for sure, which is of course none other than Cruella. So yeah, that is of course what I'm going to be talking about for today's thoughts video right about now, and boy, I've got a lot to say about this one, so yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. Alright. So yeah, I guess for of course what I need to talk about right about now, I think pretty much this movie is of course pretty much serving as a prequel to, of course, or let alone a standalone, or yeah, maybe I assume, yeah, I'm just gonna say it's mainly the origin story on, of course, one of the greatest Disney villains of all time, Cruella de Vil. So yeah, and of course I should mention this right but now, it is indeed based around, of course, one of Disney's well-known anime feature films for quite some time now, known as 101 Dalmatians. So yeah, just as a little quick backstory right about now, as a kid, I love the original 101 Dalmatians movie a whole lot. I think there would come a time where, of course, I would actually pop that movie onto a VHS, and I enjoyed the hell out of it a whole lot. So yeah, and when it comes to, of course, this movie that I'm going to be talking about around the time it's actually coming out, I've actually took a look back at the original 101 Dalmatians movie on Disney Plus, and I still think it's as great as I remembered. It's got a really engaging story, interesting characters, great animation by far, and yeah, everything else about it is just absolutely amazing. I love the original 101 Dalmatians hands down, and I could definitely almost say the same thing for, of course, some of the other movies that I took a look at for sure, apart from, of course, the original animated film, like, of course, pretty much it's a direct-to-DVD sequel, 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure. I will admit it's not really as strong as the original 101 Dalmatians, but I do think it's actually a pretty good sequel that was worth checking out, and of course, when it comes to, of course, the subject matter of Disney's live-action remakes, keep in mind is that right around before Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, they actually did do, of course, a few live-action Disney remakes in the past. Like, of course, they, of course, did one, of course, The Jungle Book that was released long before the 2016 reboot actually came around. And of course, for this subject matter, right about now, 101 Dalmatians did land on that subject matter for sure. So yeah, pretty much the live-action remake of 101 Dalmatians from 1996, which stars Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil. I will admit, I think it's actually a pretty decent flick, hands down, but I do find myself having a good time with it regardless, and yeah, Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil really is a riot for sure. I absolutely love her in that, hands down, and same thing almost can be said for, of course, its sequel, 102 Dalmatians, which I will admit is actually a pretty decent sequel to, of course, the 96 reboot, but I still think it was actually well worth the watch, nevertheless, So yeah, that's pretty much my whole backstory on, of course, the entire 101 Dalmatians movies in a nutshell, So yeah, just to actually get that out of the way for sure, so when it comes to, of course, Cruella, I do remember actually seeing the trailers for, of course, this movie, and yeah, I will admit, I wasn't actually very excited for, of course, this movie, hands down. I think it's probably mainly because I might have came off of having a bad case of Disney live-action remake fatigue, and trust me, it has hit me pretty hard after watching the live-action Mulan remake, so yeah, I think I was kind of expecting that I would absolutely hate this movie, hands down. That was the kind of feeling that I had when I actually saw this movie, hands down. I thought this is gonna suck big time, so yeah, but I guess if anything, I was destined to actually go see it after all, so I've decided to give this movie a fair shot just to see how it would do, and now that I've actually finished watching it for sure, what do I think of this overall? Well, I guess pretty much a lot of you guys are wondering, I guess pretty much based on what I said earlier, you would like to say that I would be right in saying, oh, this movie is absolutely terrible, I hate it. Well, actually, truth be told, the exact opposite happened, because yeah, this movie actually surpassed my low expectations for sure. So yeah, I guess with, of course, everything I've actually seen, I actually really do like this movie, hands down. So yeah, I will admit it's not actually great, I have to say, but I guess in terms of course, some of the Disney live-action remakes I've actually seen, I will strangely admit, I think this movie is worthy enough to be on the category of the ones that I think are actually pretty good. So yeah, I guess for what it is, I actually really do enjoy Cruella for, of course, what it is. It's far better than what I was expecting for sure. So yeah, I guess I really do like this movie, hands down. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. Alright. So yeah, now that I've actually got that out of the way, I might as well go ahead and talk about everything that I need to talk about. First of all is, of course, the story for, of course, this movie, and I guess if you recall, based on, of course, the trailers for, of course, this movie actually sets itself up as an origin story on how Cruella de Vil became, well, Cruella de Vil. So yeah, pretty much almost doing something similar to, of course, like a few others that were actually done in this type of storyline, like say the smash hit Broadway musical Wicked, and of course Disney's attempt to actually do the same thing with of course Maleficent, as well as its sequel Maleficent Mistress of Evil, which for the latter I did already talk about before in its own thoughts video. So yeah, it's pretty much on that front, hands down, and I will have to say for, of course, the story for, of course, this movie, it does kind of feel unnecessary for the most part. I mean, why bother doing an entire origin story on one of the greatest Disney villains of all time? But I guess for what it is, despite its faults, it actually is crafted extremely well. I mean, they actually yeah, I mean, sure, they actually pinpointed some areas where, of course, they would actually follow through to, of course, some of the other stuff, like, of course, some of the ones that we would expect to actually be absolutely unnecessary to be, well, absolutely unnecessary. And even some bullet points where, of course, some of these live-action Disney remakes have to follow. But for what it is, I do think it's actually a really well-crafted story, hands down. I mean, I do get the idea that some people are going to say that Cruella de Vil in this movie, in terms of her origin story, is just misunderstood for the most part. No, they actually pretty much dictate some points to, of course, on how Cruella de Vil wanted to become one of the greatest Disney villains of all time. They actually took it step by step for, of course, what it has to do. And I guess for what it is, I actually do think they did do a fine job with, of course, the story for this movie. Again, it could have been done much better, and like I say, it does kind of feel unnecessary. But I do think it actually does do the job fine with, of course, what it's actually done. And, of course, the one other aspect that I should mention, but don't worry, I'll get to that sometime later. I think, I guess, if anything, it could have actually, it would have actually done a much better job to actually help the story a whole lot more, but I still think it's actually well worth it for sure, so yeah, that's what I can say on that. Alright. So yeah, now that I've actually finished up the story for sure, I think I might as well go ahead and mention a few others that I should mention. Pretty much the next best thing that I should mention is, of course, the characters, hands down. So yeah, I guess for, of course, in the case of this movie right about now, I say this film actually did do a fine job, and of course, with, of course, what it has to show with, of course, its characters. I think they are actually pretty likable, hands down, and I really love the way they actually turned out. But I think the ones that actually really stand out for me for sure is, of course, not just Cruella herself, but also a few others that I should mention. Two of them is, of course, Cruella de Vil's henchmen, Horace and Jasper. They're actually, pretty much all three of them that I've mentioned have been given some pretty good character development. Not great by all means, but still actually pretty good, hands down, and I really love seeing them on screen. Man, it's kind of actually odd that I actually like a Disney villain in her own solo movie for sure, so, but yeah, and I will admit, maybe some parts of it I don't think are quite that interesting, to be honest, but I do think they actually did do a fine job with, of course, the characters for, of course, this movie, and I will have to say the next thing that I should mention is, of course, all the actors that actually came in to, of course, play all these characters. They actually really did pull off some pretty good performances, hands down. But I will have to say, pretty much I would say the one that really does stand out to me a whole lot is indeed Emma Stone as Cruella de Vil herself. I think with, of course, everything that I've actually been seeing, she actually does do a fine job in actually giving the character something to behold. It's actually something really quite amazing, and yeah, like I said, I think I also really love the way that she actually wanted to take the characteristics of course, Cruella de Vil and actually making her a well-known villain step by step for, of course, what it is. No, they just, yeah, I think they don't just rush all the way to it right away. No, they actually took it step by step and actually build it up over the course of the movie's runtime. So yeah, I guess for what it is, I really do admire all the actors that, of course, came in to play all these characters in this movie. They actually do pull off some pretty good performances, hands down, especially Emma Stone as Cruella herself. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. Alright. And of course, I should mention some of the other aspects that I actually should mention right here by now. First of all, is of course, I really do admire on how visually it actually looks, hands down. I think with, of course, everything that I'm seeing, pretty much making it look like, pretty much London from the 1970s actually does fit in well. It almost kind of reminded me of course, Joker, with the way it's actually set up, being, of course, in either the late 70s to the early 80s, hands down. I think it actually does help this movie flow out extremely well with, of course, the time period it's actually set into. It's done marvelously for, of course, what it's actually done. And of course, I should mention right but now, I really do admire the film's soundtrack for sure. Pretty much for a good majority of course, this movie, 85% of it is, of course, done with, of course, some smashing songs that were released in the 1970s, hands down. So yeah, I guess for what it is, I really do admire, of course, what the soundtrack for this movie has done. I think it actually does help set the tone for, of course, this movie for, of course, what it is. And that's one other thing I should mention right about now. The tone and the atmosphere in this movie is also done extremely well. And I really love on how it actually turned out for sure. So yeah, I guess for of course that front, I really do enjoy that, hands down. And yeah, I think I should mention right but now, I really do admire, of course, the pretty much the direction of course, this movie that is, of course, done by the film's director. I will have to say he does. I will have to say, pretty much the direction of course this movie is done fine for, of course, what it is. Again, not perfect by all means, but still actually fine at its best. And plus, I also really do admire how well shot this movie is, and I really do think, and I will admit, I think for the film's editing, I have to say, maybe some parts of it I don't think are actually flowed out pretty well, or maybe some things are cut in the wrong place, but I will have to say it's fine for what it is. I can't fault it for that, and yeah, and I guess the most important thing that I should mention, hands down, like I said, even though it does kind of feel unnecessary to actually give one of the greatest Disney villains of all time her own backstory, I can't actually fault this movie for, of course, what it's doing. I think it did do a fine job, and of course, what it needs to do, hands down. So yeah, and I guess for what it is, I think it actually does help the make this movie look actually pretty good for to be honest. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. So yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. Alright. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything that I need to say on why I actually really like this movie. And though I will admit, pretty much if there's one of many problems that I actually have with this movie, and trust me when I say most of the positive stuff that I mentioned right now does include several nitpicks that I have, is that pretty much the main problem I actually have with this movie is that I will have to admit, the writing, I have to say, I don't think actually is flowed out pretty well. I think with, of course, bits of a dialogue in each scene that's written out, yeah, maybe, yeah, I will have to say it's not really that great, to be honest, and I really didn't love the way on how written this movie is. So yeah, maybe I think this movie could have been done a whole lot better if they might have actually done some rewrites, hands down, to actually make it all the more intriguing. But I guess on its own, I guess the film's writing for sure, let alone the entire screenplay for, of course, this movie, is somehow massively weak. So yeah. But hey, I guess aside from that, and of course a few other nitpicks that I actually pointed out earlier, that doesn't hurt my experience with, of course, this movie for what it is. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. Alright. So yeah, I guess with, of course, everything that I need to say about this movie, overall, I will have to admit, I'm actually really glad I actually saw this movie, hands down. Yeah, I guess for what it is, Cruella, I will have to admit, it's not really one of the best movies I've actually seen by far, but I do think it's actually a pretty good movie that is actually well worth checking out, and again, it does kind of feel unnecessary to actually give an origin story on, of course, Cruella de Vil, one of the greatest Disney villains of all time. But I guess for what it is, it actually did give me something that would actually suck for, of course, what it has to do, into actually something that I actually really enjoyed, hands down. Again, not perfect by all means, but I still think it's actually pretty good. So yeah, that's how much I actually really like Cruella, hands down. So I guess the only question remains, or two for that matter, where do I actually place this movie in terms of course, all the 101 Dalmatians movies, let alone the entirety of the Disney live-action remakes? Well, pretty much for the last part that I mentioned, in terms of every single Disney live-action remake that's actually been out, in terms of course, where this movie lies, I would probably put it on the same level as, of course, three other ones that I do think are actually pretty good. Those are, yeah, those ones being, of course, Peach Dragon, Christopher Robin, and Cinderella, hands down. So yeah, I would probably place Cruella in that category, hands down. Now, in terms of course, where I would put this, in terms of all the 101 Dalmatians movies, I would probably say maybe a mixture of course, both 102 Dalmatians with, of course, the vast majority of Patch's London Adventures. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that front. So yeah, that's where I would actually place Cruella in terms of course, every single 101 Dalmatians movie, hands down. So yeah. I guess for, of course, what it is, I couldn't help but actually recommend Cruella, regardless of course, what I have to say on that. So, yeah, I guess if you actually want to experience it for yourself, then not to worry about a thing. You can catch it right now on the big screen, like, of course, I just did. And trust me when I say, movies are definitely well worth seeing, and definitely seeing the best on the big screen. Or of course, if you don't want to, of course, see a movie in your local movie theater and want to see this movie at the comfort of your own home, then don't worry about a thing. Disney Plus has already got you covered on that. So yeah, I guess for what it is, I'm actually really glad I actually saw this movie for what it is. I mean, truth be told, I wasn't expecting to like this movie, hands down, but now that I did, I'm actually glad I actually liked it for what it is. It pretty much turned something that I do kind of felt wouldn't need to work in the science, let alone can't work at all, into actually something that actually did work, hands down. Might need some major touches on that, but I still think it's actually a pretty good one nevertheless. So yeah, if you want to check out Cruella for yourself, then do so. It's actually well worth checking out. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say about this movie. So yeah, for my final score right about now, I'm of course going to give Cruella a pretty fair 7.5 out of 10 for me. Like I say, it's not really the best I've actually seen by far, but I guess for what it is, I do think it's actually a pretty good one nevertheless, and like I said, I am glad that I actually saw it, hands down. So yeah, and I guess if you want to spend a whole 2.5 hours seeing one of the greatest Disney villains of all time give out her own backstory on how she became a well-known Disney villain, that does kind of feel unnecessary, but still work nevertheless, then, well, grab your sets of, then pretty much grab your own Dalmatian and actually see this movie for yourself. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that. Alright. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I need to say about Cruella. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section below if you have seen Cruella and what you thought about it, as well as, of course, leaving me constructive criticism and or advice on how I can improve my videos in the near future, And of course, as always, feel free to send me an email if you want to ask me any questions, or if you just want to book me for a con or event that'll be coming up sometime in the near future. Follow me on my social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and plenty of other social media sites I have provided. If, of course, if you want to keep up to date with me with every single thing that I put up, with, of course, the links down in the description box below. Man, almost got my mouthful of saliva right by now, but yeah, going back on topic, and of course, feel free to support me on Patreon if you want to see some sneak peeks to some videos that I got coming up, as well as some other awesome rewards that will help fit into your budget. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, then give it a massive thumbs up, as it really does help this channel out. And speaking of my channel, if you want to see more videos like this coming up in the near future, then by all means go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notification bell to actually see more videos from me coming up very soon. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video, and phew, man, feels good to actually talk about this movie hands down. And for some odd reason, it's of course on a Disney live action remake that I do think is actually pretty good. Who would have thought? If only I wish some of the other ones would have actually done the same thing. Of course, this movie and a few others that I do think are pretty good we've done. And of course, the really awesome Jungle Book remake from 2016. So, but hey, I guess for what it is, it does feel good to actually talk about this movie hands down. But we're not done with, of course, what I need to talk about. Oh, no. Because, oddly enough, there is one other movie that I should talk about in the next thoughts video that I should put up. And what is it, you may ask? What movie that I also saw alongside Cruella that I do think is worth enough to talk about? Well, tuning in less than, let's see, what's the time frame? Yeah, well over 30 minutes right about now. Yeah, pretty much tune into, of course, less than half an hour from now to actually see the next thoughts video that I'm gonna do. Of course, another movie that I did go see on the exact same day I saw Cruella. What is it, you may ask? Well, I'm not gonna say what it is, but let's just say this movie I'm gonna be talking about in the next thoughts video is in a rather quiet place, hands down. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you at that note, hands down. So yeah, and I guess until then, tune into, of course, less than half an hour from now to see what it is. So yeah, but I guess until then, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.